Manchester United, the club, the Red Devils, were back to winning ways last evening. And they beat Wolverhampton Wanderers by 4-1. And it's such a big win, emphatic one that really sends Man United back to those places where we are supposed to be. As Matthias de Ligt came out and obviously told the media that the aim of Manchester United is to go to the Champions League this or the coming season. And that's exactly what went ahead to happen at this particular encounter, as the club of Manchester United went ahead to do the needful and put in a very huge shift to really give this team a beating that it really deserved. And if you watched my match preview that I streamed live yesterday, I came up and told you that Manchester United has to do the due diligence to beat this team, because we went ahead and played West Ham, a team that was also in the relegation zone almost, and we failed to obviously get 3 points off it. That was really very shocking to me. And I'm like, if we cannot beat West Ham, that was placed 18th, how come we are called Manchester United? I was really shocked, because it's one of those wins that I had gone ahead to really count for the club of Manchester United. If you've been following up on my match previews, ever since we returned from international break, I've been giving United wins. Everton, I thought they are coming at Old Trafford and we are supposed to beat them. You know, with even a man down, we couldn't really put them to bed. And that was really very shocking for me. And I'm like, oh God, what is wrong with my team? You understand? The game of West Ham, I thought we could kill it off because we were at Old Trafford. Guess what? We didn't. And shockingly, the game I thought we couldn't kill off, that was the game of Crystal Palace, happened to be the game that Man United came up and obviously went ahead to obviously win comfortably, and we beat them by 2-1 away from home. And guys, things are trying to change. History is really changing, because when did you last remember United went ahead and really won 2 consecutive games away from home? Our last game we played away from home, the last game we played away from home, I think, was Crystal Palace. Not so? It was Crystal Palace, and we came up and obviously beat them by 2-1. You understand? Then, the last one we had played was Tottenham Hotspur. We drew 2-2. Then Crystal Palace, we won by 2-1. Lost to Everton. Drew with West Ham at home. All those that would have gone ahead to be must-wins for the club of Manchester United. And guess what? We come to Wolverhampton Wanderers and we beat them convincingly by 4-1. So, that is what United is all about. Inconsistent team, a team that is unpredictable when it comes to games that they're supposed to win. I've been very vocal onto this. I don't want to see Manchester United beat Arsenal home and away. I don't want to see Manchester United beat Man City home and away. I don't want to see Manchester United beat Chelsea home and away. I don't want to see Manchester United beat Liverpool home and away. Those 4 teams, I don't want to see United beat them. All I want is to see Man United beat Everton home and away, Wolves home and away, West Ham home and away, Brentford home and away. Because even if those 4 teams, Arsenal, Liverpool, Chelsea, and Liverpool, beat us home and away, if we capitalize and beat these other 15 home and away, those are the 30 games, and United would have gone ahead to collect 90 points. And that takes us into the title bracket, because for every team that surpasses or clocks 90 points in this league, they are in a title race. That is it. That's why when Liverpool or Man City beats Man United, I don't feel agitated, because I know that's not what gives you the trophy. That's not what takes you to the Champions League. What takes you to the Champions League is to beat these other teams that are not Arsenal, Liverpool, Man City, and Chelsea. That is it. So, yesterday, when we beat Wolverhampton Wanderers, I was very, very happy. I really celebrate these wins, because if these wins can continue against such teams, then United will find themselves in a position that we are going to be playing the Champions League next season, and that means getting all the players that would have gone ahead to get. For example, if we managed to convince Matthias Cunha not to join Arsenal, Liverpool, and Man City. He snubbed them and joined Manchester United. That means if we were in the Champions League, we would have gone ahead to win hearts of many. That is it. Secondly, Bryan Mbeumo was wanted by Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal, Bayern Munich. All that means that we are going to bring in good players if we qualify for the Champions League. And my mission this season is to qualify for the Champions League. Though, even when I was predicting my top teams, top 4 teams, United was out. I think I put United 5th or 6th into my predictions of this season. But if we continue and be consistent, we will obviously do the needful. And how did this come up into the game? Bruno Fernandes, in the 25th minute, went ahead to obviously score the opening goal of the game in there for you. Then, as this first half came to an end, Jean Risnia Belgrade went ahead to level up the game, and first half ended 1-1. By the way, when that game was 1-1, I was like, this is what we call a mentality test for the players of Manchester United. It was a pure mental test for the players of Manchester United, as this is where they needed to come and show us that they've outgrown that mentality of knowing the same thing is coming back again. I was very eager to see what is their reaction gonna be in the second half. That was where I were. And I was like, this is the test. And if they fail it, it will be one of the things that I'll come up and say, as Roy Keane really used to say, that leopards don't change their spots. Leopards don't change their spots. That is it. And United came up in the second half, and they are really very serious. And 6 minutes into the second half, Bryan Mbeumo went ahead to obviously make it 2-1 for the club of Manchester United. And then Mason Mount, 11 minutes later, in the 62nd minute, went ahead to make it 3-1 for the club of Manchester United. And a penalty, as I think the shot of Amadi Diallo was blocked by hand of a player of Wolverhampton Wanderers, and Bruno Fernandes stepped up and obviously buried that penalty into the back of the net to make it 4-1 for the club of Manchester United. And it's an emphatic win for the club of Manchester United, though I think a lot of things have to obviously be put into better shapes. Nachtende says, but they didn't play well first half. Obviously, they didn't play very well, but we have to appreciate this win. Sometimes it's all about getting these points and really go away, as you don't need this manager to be having a lot of pressure piled onto his head. All you need to see is, let's see the manager with a free mind, a manager focusing on what he should be doing and really improving his players. That's what I think should be the main aim at Manchester United right about now. So, I tell you, Manchester United, all what they need to do is to go on a run. But I don't think that run is possible, as there is Bournemouth in our way, there is Aston Villa in our way, and there is Newcastle. 3 difficult fixtures before Christmas. And guys, it might really see us get back to where we've been. But never say never for Manchester United, as Esther told us yesterday that they might come out and really win all those 3 big games, because we've gone ahead to adopt what we call a small team mentality. What is the small team mentality? A small team mentality is all about acting like you're going to die, playing like you're playing for your lives when you're playing against big teams. And when it comes to small teams, you really switch off. You only switch on when you're really playing big teams, So, Bournemouth is really a very good team. Newcastle, very good team. Aston Villa, really a very good team. So, we wait and see how that will obviously pan out. Esther is asking, why Amorim don't play Bruno in the number 10 to create more chances? That is really one of the questions that I've always gone ahead to obviously put outside there, as I believe we are missing a lot from Bruno Fernandes. Every time he's being played as a number 8, he really miss out on a player that can come in through and really put in a very huge shift altogether. And I know he already made his decision that his two number 10s are Bran Belmo and a player known as Matthias Cunha. You saw to it very well that even when Cunha was injured, the manager went ahead to obviously say, Bruno Fernandes, I'm not playing you as my number 10. You remember that very well. So he has already gone ahead to make the decision that he is the manager of Manchester United, Ruben Amorim. And we wait to see whether when Amad Diallo and Bran Belmo leave, he will maybe rethink of playing Bruno as a number 10. Something that I think is going to be hard for him to make a decision for, as he's a man who doesn't want to really change things. Because when Bruno plays in number 10 position, really plays very well, all of you will come out and bombard at him that, why are you playing Bruno? Why haven't you been playing him in the number 10 role? And that will be obviously proving him wrong. And that's what he doesn't want as a manager. We need 9 points for our next 3 games. That's what we need. But can we get them? Let's be realistic. The next 3 games are really going to be hard. And I'm not really going to stand in here and tell you that I see us getting 9. But I think we can get 4, 5, or 6. I see the maximum we can get as 6 points. That is it. Because those teams are really going to come and run at us. I don't know whether we'll match the intensity. We have to pray to God that Matthias de Ligt is back. If de Ligt is back for this fixture, at least you understand that at least your rock in the central defense is back, and at least you'll try to do the needful. Remember, for the Bournemouth game, Amadi Diallo, Mazarawi, and Mbeumo and Ahmad might obviously be there to play their last game at Old Trafford as they head to the African Cup of Nations, But the game of Aston Villa and Newcastle, how will we obviously approach those games, really, with the manager trying to play Bruno Fernandes into that position that I don't think that he deserves to be played there. So that is it, and lots of questions are really being posed in here, and we wait to see how the manager really goes on with this, because it really raises a lot of concern in here. Who will be played in those positions will be really very, very, very key. Let's head into the stats of the game and see how United went ahead to obviously put in that shift as they took on a side called Wolverhampton Wanderers in there. The stats were as follows. The stats were as follows. 7 shots for Wolverhampton Wanderers. United had 25 shots. That's really great. 2 shots on target by Wolverhampton Wanderers and 9 shots on target by Man United. 36% ball possession by Wolverhampton Wanderers. 64% ball possession by the club of Manchester United. 274 passes completed by Wolverhampton Wanderers. Man United completed 519 passes. Then 71% passing accuracy from Wolverhampton Wanderers and 85% passing accuracy from Manchester United. 15 fouls committed by the club of Wolverhampton Wanderers and 12 fouls committed by the club of Manchester United. 3 yellow cards to the side of Wolverhampton Wanderers and 2 yellow cards to the side of Manchester United. 0 red cards to both sides, 3 offsides to Manchester United and 3 offsides to Wolverhampton Wanderers. 1 corner to Wolverhampton Wanderers and 9 corners to the club of Manchester United. That's how the stats of the game really went down like at the Molineux, where United went ahead to obviously do a very huge job, and they went ahead to see to it that they collected maximum points of that side. From there, we obviously head to Charles Soko. Mount plays much better than Cunha, but why did they release him? Now, obviously, they had to release him because time comes when you really understand that this is not your calling. His calling was nowhere. His calling was nowhere at Wolverhampton Wanderers. Let's all admit. let's all admit, his calling was no longer at Wolverhampton Wanderers. And Cunha had come of class to be playing at that side. He deserved a much more better place to be and playing at, to be playing his game of football in there. So I think for Mason Mount, I think Cunha is a better player, but Mason Mount is a more efficient player than Matthias Cunha. That's what I can say. That's what I can come out and really tell you in here onto the Rokani. This is the United Matters channel, right? Guys, a moment, But a moment, guys. So, continue into the comment section. Let me know what your thoughts are. But I love Mason Mount. My only worry about him is that the lad is ever injured. You know, he's not always available when needed. And however good he is, you can't come up and obviously trust in him. That is my biggest worry for that guy. You know, if he can be regularly available, then I can obviously trust him with my team. And the same problem is with Matthias Cunha, you know, because if you are Matthias Cunha, right, and you got from Wolverhampton Wanderers, snubbed Arsenal, snubbed Chelsea, snubbed Man City, Newcastle, and very many other teams that really wanted to sign you, and you came to Manchester United, you should be working to be fully fit every time you're being called upon, as him being fully fit will see him prove the doubters wrong, as the banters from Arsenal, Liverpool, Chelsea, Newcastle will obviously say, you see, you made the wrong decisions by coming to a club. You know, you are doing nothing in there. So what we should pray for is how these players come and put out a very huge fight, you know, especially Cunha and Mount. And I would love to see them fully fit, because a lot is going to be happening, you know, in the absentia of Mbeumo, which other guy? Mbeumo, Amadi Diallo, and Mazarawi. So we need them available. That is it. But saying Mount plays better than him, yeah, for now, and I've always gone ahead to retaliate onto that, because the first games Cunha played for the club of Manchester United before he got injured, he was the best, you know. He was the best player on the pitch, you know. And you remember Mbeumo was a little bit struggling, but Mbeumo has gone ahead to pick up, and no player has gone ahead to score more Premier League goals than Brian Mbeumo, you know. So we wait and see how that happens. When you look at the stats of Brian Mbeumo, he has played 14 Premier League games with 6 goals and 1 assist. The lad is scoring goals. And I think going to the African Cup of Nations will obviously cost him his season, as he has all what it takes to become that one player that we know he can become in there for you. Esther says, I want to see Shaw in the wing back. That is it. I also want to see that, you know. I also want to see that, because that's where he can best benefit us. You get? But the manager is hesitant. He's like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do something different. So we wait and see what the manager will come up with and what decision will be taken in there at the club of Manchester United. But I would love to see Luke Shaw being played as a left wing back, though the manager is hesitant. When you look at the lineup yesterday, he obviously went with a player known as Dallo off the left wing back, and Dallo really did well because he had an assist for the goal of Brian Mbeumo in there. So that is it for the club of Manchester United, and Mount was being played as a false number 9. That is it. And you ask yourself, why didn't you start Joshua Zirkzee? You get? This beats my understanding about this manager. Zexi is performing very well. He's scoring in goals, and you don't want to give him more and more and more and more playing time. You understand? It's very hard to fault the manager when the team really goes ahead to win. That is the hardest bit of it. But for me, my stance all the time, I'll obviously come in here and really drop in my thoughts, because I believe that we deserve better. And why do we play players out of their positions? If you play a false number 9, when you are a guy called Ruben Amorim against a team that is on top of the bottom of the Premier League table, then how are you gonna play when you are really playing against a team known as Bournemouth? Maybe he might tell us that I wanted to play Mason Mount because I wanted to see to it that Joshua Zexi is fit, but the lad is not an injury-prone player, and the more game time he gets, the more sharper he really becomes. Maybe he's afraid that the lad might obviously turn out to be one of the best forwards, and maybe Sesko might be outcompeted. Managers can do that because he knows when I keep him on the pitch, he will keep up on the rhythm. And keeping up on the rhythm, the manager doesn't want it, maybe. So we wait and see how things really pan out onto that avenue in there. Nachitende Esther, there is much concern Bruno can replace Brian Mbeumo, Dalo Ahmad. I really understand, but will the manager get the lad into the number 10 position? That is the huge question, because we have seen him, and we know exactly what he's capable of doing as this manager. So, do you trust him? I tell you no, because he keeps surprising us left, right, and center. Every other day that passes by, the manager keeps surprising us, Charles Soko, why is Martinez good but starts on the bench? I think the manager is trying to really manage him, and maybe that's what the physios have gone to tell him, that please, for this guy, what you have to do is simple. Let's bring him slowly by slowly, and maybe his minutes are supposed to be calculated. So I think that's what the manager is really doing, because all of the games he plays off the bench. I think the first time he came in through was when you're playing against Crystal Palace. Then he came off the bench when you're playing against West Ham, and even yesterday night he came off the bench to feature. Maybe he's not yet ready to go. That is it. Esther, even on the bottom side, Amorim plays 5 defenders. Imagine. That is it. So I think he has his own issues, but all I want to see is to see him to the club of Manchester. I want to ask to keep a manager for some time. That is it. I want to see United keeping a manager for 5 years, because that's how we can obviously get into the levels where Arsenal is. If Arteta, who was not a top manager, like a manager, he was an assistant, came in through at Arsenal, given all that time, and see what he has gone ahead to produce. That means if the manager of Manchester United is given ample time, he can obviously do that, because for him, he has been at the touchline, he has more experience than Mikel Arteta, and he will obviously thrive and see our players really thrive in there. So we wait and see how that goes on in there. How is the table looking like for the Premier League after match day 15? After match day 15, the club of Arsenal is still on top of the Premier League table. 15 games played, 10 wins, 3 draws and 2 losses, 28 goals scored, 9 goals conceded, and they're having a goal difference of 19. 33 points. Man City is second, 15 games, 10 games won, 1 draw, 4 losses, 35 goals scored, 16 goals conceded. They're having 19 goals as the goal difference, 31 points. Aston Villa, we are playing it after we play Bournemouth. 15 games played, 9 wins, 3 draws, 3 losses, 22 goals scored, 15 goals conceded. Goal difference of 7, and we're having 30, and Aston Villa is having 30 points. Crystal Palace, 15 games played, they're having 26 points. Chelsea are 5th, 15 games played, 7 wins, 4 draws, 4 losses, 25 goals scored and 15 goals conceded. 10 goal difference. They're having 25 points. Manchester United is in there. Manchester United is 6th. 15 games played. 7 wins. 4 draws. 4 losses. 26 points. 26 goals scored. 22 goals conceded. A goal difference of 4. They're having 25 points. Everton is 7th, 24 points. Brighton is 8th with 23 points. Sunderland is 9th with 23 points in there. And Liverpool is 10th with 23 points. Bournemouth, a team that we are yet to play next Monday, is 13th with 20 points. That is it. So that's how the table is really looking like. And hope you guys are seeing where United is. We are 6th and we are 8 points off the table leaders, that is Arsenal. But my worry is that the next 2 fixtures of Arsenal are Wolverhampton Wanderers and Everton. The next 2 fixtures of Manchester United are Bournemouth, Aston Villa, and then Newcastle. So that is really hard for the club of Manchester United. So can we really put our foot on the pedal again and create a lot of havoc to these other teams that are really playing next to us? All that and more into the comment section below. This is the channel that brings you your latest news and information about Manchester United. I think, at least for now, not daily, I've been really feeding you with news and information, and that's what you're obviously going to be doing here on a daily. So, into the comment section. Charles Seko says, but Delete will be available for the Bournemouth game. We wait to see whether he'll be available. I thought he was going to return yesterday night, but he was nowhere to be seen. That is it. I thought he was returning yesterday night, but it was nowhere to be seen. So we wait and see. Ezato Nani, hey RD, Dallo looks good for the past 2 games. Dallo has always been looking good. Just people really having an agenda, but Dallo has been one of the most consistent players since the season of 2022-2023. Dallo has been good. Dallo has been good. And even this season, the times they've gone ahead to give him a chance, he has really looked good because he's a modern footballer. Everything that you need from a modern footballer, he'll get you in there, And people have gone ahead to come out and really bash him. And I'm like, do these people know the game? And moreover, he's being played out of position. And let's see how he plays when he's being played as a right wing back. As Esther suggested that when Amadi Diallo leaves, why don't we play that guy as a right wing back? And there, he's really deadly, as he has a lot of space to maraud in, especially into the right inside channel. Onen Daniel. Amorim needs to know players' abilities and positions. The lad is big-headed. That is it. And all what you have to leave him out for is he's really getting in those points and he's really winning his games. So that is it for now. Hope you guys have gone ahead to obviously see it. And should we head into the player ratings? All right, let me sum up it here once and for all. The player ratings: goalkeeper Sen Lemens, 7 out of 10. Mazarawi, 7.5 out of 10. Luke Shaw, 7.5 out of 10. Aiden Heaven, 8 out of 10. Amadi Diallo, 8 out of 10. Dallo, 8.5 out of 10. Bruno Fernandes, 9 out of 10. Casemiro, 8.5 out of 10. Brandon Belmo, 8 out of 10. Cunha, 7.5 out of 10. Mason Mount, 8.5 out of 10. Lisandro Martinez, 8 out of 10. Joshua Zexi, 7.5 out of 10. Patrick Dogo, 7 out of 10. Lenny Yoro, 7.5 out of 10. Kobe Mainoo, 7.5 out of 10. For the manager, 7.5 out of 10. And my man of the match remains a one and only Bruno Fernandes. Because when you score a brace, why not collect the man of the match for the Portuguese Magnifico. That is Bruno Fernandes. That's what I had for you today morning. More is said to be coming up as more transfer news is drawing in for Man United as we search out for the midfielders and those players that we think might leave in the January transfer window. Rokan David remains my name. Onen Daniel, thank you for watching through Ezato Nani, Charles Soko, Nachitende Esther, and very many others that haven't been able to come into the comment live section. We out and have a blessed Tuesday. Returning back